This is Matt, and I'm doing a little bit of experimenting with the camera, and hope you don't mind it. This is being recorded July the 18th. Okay, I'm recording this here in the apartment building that I live in, and this stairway that runs through our apartment is extremely odd. I think this building is about 100 years old. It's been renovated several times, but this stairway has been fascinating me for a few days. There's some stuff on here which is a little bit strange. For one thing, you'll notice how with the door it has molding on it that's definitely old style molding that stops halfway. And you'll notice how the stairway seems to like sink into the wall. In addition, I don't know if you can see this, but right down this lower section there is a landing. And what you cannot see from here is that that landing is completely enclosed and goes absolutely nowhere. There's no other stairway on the other side. It's just like an enclosed box, no way to get into it, no way to get out. It's like a section of the stairway was just like literally sunk into the wall halfway through it. It's kind of odd. And then the ceiling light, by the way, there's a skylight here for solar lighting that was put in original to the building about 1901. Another odd feature is this kind of cable-like cord which sort of pops out of the wall, works its way around the elaborate decorations, and then zips down. Clearly evidence that the building's been modified, which it has been, I'm sure. And this is that odd little, I guess you'd call it a landing room that I was telling you about. If you look through here, you can see all the dust on the floor. There's absolutely nothing they can do about it either. There's no way to get in there to maintain it. This railing here, I'm starting with my arms at approximately my belly button level, and I'm moving up to over my head, and that's how tall it is. And literally it's just, you know, a section of the thing was supposed to be a landing and it just stopped. There's also part of that abandoned molding area and some more of that crazy wiring that runs in and out of the staircase. It's really weird. And here's some more stuff. And you can see there's more of the abandoned landing. And I don't know what you would I have no idea. It's just weird. And there's the skylight. I don't know if the camera's probably going to flare out on this. The skylight's actually two levels. You got the lower level, which is where we're at, and then there's this small area above that with the actual window to the outside. Now I just walked over to the other stairway on the opposite side of the hall, and it also has an abandoned landing. And it also has part of the stairway railing flush to the wall, just like on our side. So Rochester is the land of construction lately. They say there's two seasons, winter and construction. Rochester's known for its winters. It should also be known for its construction. Alrighty. So Rochester used to have something called the inner loop. A lot of cities have done this about the same time, between the 50s and the 60s, where they tried to take the main traffic off of the city streets and put it on like a highway loop that goes around the city. London even did that. I believe that's what the MI-25 is or whatever. And M25? I'll have to look that up. At any rate, I'm probably getting the name wrong, and as an Anglophile there's no excuse. But anyway, so we had this thing called the inner loop, and this was a chunk of it, except in the last year they took it out and they're trying to convert this into more like a regular city street with, like, you know, mixed use, light commercial and residential put together. And this is about as nice as it has looked in a while. This winter it was a big old construction dump, and now you can see they've put a median in the middle of the road with trees, and they've got some area cleared up. I don't know if that's really big enough for homes or property yet. We'll have to see. It almost looks to me like it's just more like small parkland. But this chunk is basically 25% of the old inner loop area. About half of it's still there. But But yeah, this part will interconnect over on East Avenue, which is our cultural hub. And actually, if you can see up there, that little pointy bit, that's the steeple of my church that I go to. So yeah, as you can see, there's hardly any traffic on it. In fact, if I were to show you the other end of it, it's sort of blocked off. And this end is kind of blocked off because they're not actually technically done with it yet. But I'm assuming from these markings on the road that they will be soon. These periodically marked 15 plus 50, 15 plus 25, etc., etc. Some sort of measurement. So we'll have to see what they do with it. Oh look, more construction. I'll have to go around it. Across the street here, and you'll see pictures of this later. The bus just went in front of it. The coffee shop over here is called Press Coffee. They're actually very good. Just can't afford to get a coffee from them right now, but that's alright. It's hot out, so it's probably too warm anyway. And behind it is dorms for the Eastman School of Music. This is some modern sculpture. Okay, that's a better shot of Press Coffee. It's a nice little shop. The shopkeeper is from Australia. A wonderful lady. Okay, here's a little known Rochester gem. See if you can recognize this if you've been to the movies since about, last millennium or so. Think of a movie with Andrew Garfield in it. And you've probably seen this alley at some point during the opening of scenes of that film. It's the second of its type. Guessed yet? Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, this alley is in it. More shots of the alley. This, by the way, is actually located in real life in between the Eastman Theater and I believe there's a parking garage over here. Okay, this is brand new. I've never seen this before. This is located near the Eastman Theater. By the way, it's named after George Eastman, creator of Kodak film. This is another thing that reminds me of London, because when I was in London they had these things called Boris bikes, and it's a bike share program. Apparently we're going to be getting one. This is new. This is also part of the heritage of Rochester. First off, you can see this horse up here. Way up at the top, he's got a painting on him of Chuck Mangione. He who did Feel So Good. Chuck Mangione was born and raised here. Now this is part of the Eastman School of Music, named after Georgina also. It's the Miller Center. Now Miller refers to Mitch Miller, as in Sing Along with Mitch, who was also born here. Interesting, he had been proud of being from here for a very long time, and then somehow or other somebody said something that got him ticked off of the city, and I haven't heard what happened to it afterwards. But yeah, so this is another Rochester landmark. Yeah, more construction. Can you just dig it? All those poles and signs. Yeah, it's a mess down here for blocks and blocks. I'm about ready to come up on the site of what used to be Midtown Plaza in about 2 or 3 blocks. Midtown Plaza was a downtown shopping mall, indoor shopping mall. One of the first of its kind, and probably one of the last of its kind. I haven't heard of other cities having them, other than maybe Toronto. Kind of wish we'd get it back. They should never have taken it down. However, it was built in the early 60s. I'm waiting my turn here at the light because I don't know where these traffic are going. Okay, let's just go. It was built in the early 60s. Was really the hub of downtown in the 70s. And then mid 80s we got a lot of problems with teenagers hanging out there and wanting to cause problems, like fights and stuff. And then about the early 90s they shut it down. So this is where Midtown Plaza used to be. And there's nothing here now. Way over there, we were supposed to have some kind of a big office thing take over. I think they're now going to do apartments. And over here, we've got a couple of small offices. One is a downsized newspaper, and one is some internet company. But we really need to have Midtown back. And then the rest of it you can see. Construction, construction, construction. Right in front of here, it's called the Liberty Pole. And that's a Rochester landmark as well. This used to be a thriving downtown with lots of people and businesses. And right now, there's hardly anybody here except for construction. Okay, this is new. Rochester Auto Museum. It's probably not open yet. I mean, look at all the stuff in front. I have no idea. This is new. Okay, this is the corner of South Avenue and East Main. The library is down this way, but I'm not headed to the library today. I believe this was also used in the film, but I'm not sure. Down here is where our traffic center is. The traffic center. Transit center, where the buses go. I can't go anywhere yet anyway. As you can see, I've got a stoplight on the walk. And this is the convention center. And that building there, I always thought it looked like a flying saucer had gone on the roof. You probably can't hear me over the traffic. Actually, that used to be a restaurant. It's called The Changing Scene. And the saucer would actually turn around. It'd take about an hour to get all the way around. What it is now is apparently the headquarters for some strange computer firm, but it's offices. Not much of anything, so it's sort of a waste. But it'd be neat if they could get that running again. And it wouldn't be Rochester unless we showed you the Genesee River. The Genesee River runs right smack through the middle of downtown Rochester. And it's been the city's lifeblood almost since the beginning. This, if you will, is the beating heart of the city. It's got 3 waterfalls at different points along the river. But what I'm showing you right now is the Aqueduct Bridge. Now, originally, the Erie Canal ran over the top of that Aqueduct Bridge, right through where you see the arches. They've got a roadway built on it now, but there wasn't. That was open, and the Erie Canal ran through there, right over the top of the river. They've since, of course, rerouted the Erie. Now they call it the Barge Canal, and it's south of town, I believe. But it used to run right through the middle of town, over the top of the river on a bridge. Later on, that bridge was a subway. Rochester, New York used to have a subway system, and we don't have that anymore either. Some of us would love to see a subway system restored, but along different routes than it had historically. Because right now the routes that it had are pretty well covered by the bus system, but the bus system, to be nice about it, is not as well planned as it might be. It has a lot of spokes, but no rim on the wheels. One of these days I'll put up a map and I'll show you, but I'm not going to do that today, because I would rather focus on the positive. Yeah, the brown that you see in the water, this is not mostly pollution, this is mostly mud. On the other hand, this being the town that Kodak is in, and Kodak has... Okay, we're going to stay positive here. Okay. You don't need to know about pollution. So, yeah, the water is about medium level right now, which is why you can still see some of the sticks and stuff. Yeah, I've seen it higher, I've seen it lower. This isn't actually all that bad. It's nice to see it so active. So, yeah. Okay, so now we're walking down West Main. We were down East Main before, now we're on West Main. We're actually about to leave the downtown area. But before we go, there's something down here coming up at about a block or so I want to show you. And actually it's pretty significant. It's under this bridge. I don't know if you can see this bridge through the trees. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer with the camera. A lot of traffic over here. As you can see, there's a bridge here. They're all coming out from under. And I'm going to show you, it's under this bridge, something related to Rochester history. I'm coming up on the bridge. Yeah, this bridge leads to 490 east and west. There's one of our buses going by. And actually it's a double. There's a parking lot in there for some of the people coming into downtown. Beyond there is a restaurant called Nick Tahoe's. I won't go in there today. For one thing, it's fast food. Just look up garbage plate. Not, trust me, not as disgusting as it sounds. A lot of people really like it. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to show you. Once the traffic's out, I'll see if I can get across the street where you can see these better. Okay, you are looking at an image of Susan B. Anthony. The cars was really loud. Susan B. Anthony was a pioneer of the women's rights movement, what's called the suffrage movement, the right to vote, and she lived here along with her sister. Her house is down the south part of the city. I haven't quite looked it up. One of these days I probably will. But she's on this bridge pillar along with Nathaniel Rochester, who is the guy who basically bought the land and then resold it to form the city of Rochester way back in the 1800s. Now, this guy here I haven't looked up. His last name is Stewart, and what has prevented me from looking him up is that I can't pronounce his first name. I'll film it here so you can try and see. Is that Christopher or Kristen? I'm not sure. But as I understand, he's some kind of an inventor. Also lived here. And this here is Mr. Frederick Douglass, founder of the North Star newspaper. He was a leader of the abolition movement, civil rights. He started out as a slave a long time ago, and he got away from that situation and made his way to Rochester. And then later on, he started a newspaper called the North Star, which was all about the civil rights movement at that time. And also, we just recently found out in the last couple of years, he and his wife hosted an underground railroad out of their home, which was very interesting. He's buried in Mount Hope Cemetery. And actually, he had two wives, and they're both buried with him. And so these are some of the people that Rochester is most proud of. And to think what you find under a bridge. Oh, and I was going to show something else. If you can see up here, just a minute. There's a little bit tighter. That's the sign for Nick Tahoe's. It's in an old railway building. And up here, if you can see the sign, it's on top of that building, the one with the pointy roof. That is the Kodak Tower. World headquarters of Eastman Kodak. And there it is, Eastman Kodak. And there's some more of Rochester. There's that changing scene again. I'm not going to be able to pick up the other landmarks from here, but you get the idea. Oh, well, yeah, some of them. Wings of Progress, that's what those odd hemispherical shapes on top of that one building are. It's the name of the artwork. Anyway, so a lot of that video was shot today, and yeah, so that's a little tour of some of the stuff I've been promising to show you around town. There can be more, but today being on my summer break from school, and it was available to do, so I did it today. The little precursor video before the introduction, by the way, was shot at Wegmans. Well, we have lots of Wegmans. Actually, that was one of the older ones. There's much nicer looking ones in town. But anyway, yeah. So, but that's just a little bit of a thing. So anyway, until next time, further up and further in.